My brother called me at 2 a.m., whispering like he was hiding in a closet. When I heard what his sister-in-law had been doing to him, starving him, stealing his money, and planning something worse, I didn't call the police. I didn't call a lawyer. Instead, I drove 300 miles, took his place, and walked into his house wearing his face but carrying my rage. My name is William Mitchell. Everyone calls me Will. I'm 65, retired from construction engineering, and I've got enough money put away to live comfortably in my lakeside house outside Atlanta. Unlike my twin brother Ben, I never let anyone push me around. I spent 40 years building everything from shopping centers to office complexes, managing crews and dealing with contractors who thought they could cut corners. You learn real fast in construction that if you don't stand your ground, people will walk all over you and steal you blind. Ben stayed in our hometown of Marietta, Georgia, about 45 minutes north of Atlanta. He was always the gentle one, the electrician who'd rewire a neighbor's house for free just because their Social Security check was late. We look exactly the same, right down to the gray in our hair and the scar on our left eyebrow from when we crashed our bikes racing down Miller's Hill when we were 12. But our attitudes couldn't be more different. It was a Tuesday night in October when my phone rang. I was in my home office going through some old project files when Ben's name showed up on the caller ID. He never called this late, and something in my gut told me this wasn't going to be good news. "Will," he whispered, his voice shaking like a scared kid. "I can't do this anymore." I set down my reading glasses and focused completely on that call. "Ben, what's wrong? Where are you?" "I'm in the bathroom. Patricia's making me sign papers tomorrow. She says if I don't, she'll have me committed. She found the sleeping pills I've been saving up." "Will, I just want it to be over." My blood went cold. Patricia Sullivan was our brother Charles's widow. When Charles died in that construction accident 2 years ago, crane cable snapped and took him down with a steel beam. Ben let her and her 28-year-old daughter Linda move in temporarily. What was supposed to be a few months while Patricia got back on her feet had turned into something else entirely. "Don't you dare touch those pills," I said, my voice dropping to that tone I used when subcontractors tried to deliver substandard materials. "You hear me, Ben? You're a Mitchell. We don't quit. She's got everything now, Will. The pension, the bank accounts, even my truck keys. I haven't eaten a real meal in days. They lock the refrigerator at night because Linda says I eat too much. I sleep in the basement on an old mattress because my coughing from the dust in the house keeps her awake." I was already reaching for my car keys, my mind shifting into the same crisis management mode I'd used when projects went sideways. "Listen to me carefully. Walk out the back door right now. Don't pack anything, just walk. Remember that Waffle House on Highway 41? The one where we used to go after baseball practice in high school? I don't have my truck keys. Patricia took them after I tried to drive to the grocery store without permission last week. Walk there, Ben. It's only 2 miles down the road. I'll be there in 5 hours." I hung up and grabbed my emergency bag, the one I kept packed from my traveling days when projects could go critical at any moment. I wasn't packing vacation clothes this time. I pulled out work shirts, faded jeans, and a beat-up baseball cap. The kind of stuff Ben wore every day since he retired from the electrical union. I went to my safe and took out $10,000 in cash. This wasn't a rescue mission. This was war. The drive to Marietta felt like the longest 5 hours of my life. I kept thinking about how this had happened under my nose. Patricia Sullivan seemed nice enough when Charles first started dating her 15 years ago. She was a bank teller then, always dressed neat and proper, seemed to genuinely care about Charles, but I'd noticed changes after they got married. Little things, how she'd roll her eyes when Charles talked about his brothers, how she'd always find excuses, why they couldn't come to family gatherings at my place. After Charles died, she'd played the grieving widow perfectly. Came to the funeral in black, cried at all the right moments, accepted condolences like she was devastated. But I remembered thinking even then that something felt off about her tears. They seemed more like an act than genuine grief. I pulled into the Waffle House parking lot at exactly 7 a.m. The place looked exactly the same as it had 30 years ago, minus a yellow brick building with that familiar sign, surrounded by pickup trucks and sedans belonging to the breakfast crowd. Ben was sitting in a corner booth by the window, looking like a man who'd aged 10 years in the past 2. His clothes were stained and wrinkled, his hair unwashed and hanging in his eyes. He'd lost at least 30 pounds from his already thin frame. When he saw me walking through the door, he started crying. Not quiet tears, but the kind of sobbing that comes from a man who's been holding it in too long. "Will, I'm sorry," he said as I slid into the booth across from him. "I should have called sooner. I should have stood up to her. After Charles died, she seemed so lost, and Linda was struggling with her college loans. I thought I was helping family. I ordered him the biggest breakfast on the menu, eggs, bacon, sausage, pancakes, hash browns, the works. While he ate like a man who hadn't seen real food in weeks, I listened to the whole story. How Patricia had gradually taken control of his finances to help him manage his paperwork better after the stress of losing Charles. How she'd convinced him to add her name to his bank accounts in case of emergencies. How she'd slowly moved her boyfriend Tony Barnes into the house. First as someone helping with repairs, then as a permanent resident who acted like he owned the place. Tony's in real estate, Ben said between bites of pancake, his hands still shaking slightly. He keeps talking about how the neighborhood's changing, how property values are dropping. Says the house isn't worth much anymore, and we should sell it quick before it gets worse. He wants me to sign everything over to Patricia for proper estate planning. I knew Tony Barnes by reputation. He was a bottom feeder who worked the edges of the real estate market, specializing in buying properties from elderly folks for way below market value. If he was sniffing around Ben's house, there was definitely more to this story than just Patricia being greedy. Ben, that house has been in our family for 40 years. Dad bought it when we were kids. What's it really worth now? He shrugged, looking defeated. Tony says maybe $200,000 if we're lucky. Says the whole area is going downhill. Lots of crime, young families moving away. I almost laughed, but it wasn't funny. That house sat on nearly 2 acres in one of Marietta's most stable neighborhoods. Even without improvements, it had to be worth at least $400,000. With the right buyer, probably more. Tony was running a classic con, and Patricia was either his willing accomplice or his next victim after Ben. Here's what we're going to do, I said. Pulling out my phone, I'm going to book you a room at the Hampton Inn on Highway 120. Nice place, clean, good restaurant. You're going to stay there under my name while I handle this situation. What are you planning, Will? I looked at my brother, my identical twin, and saw myself if life had beaten me down instead of building me up. The same gray eyes, the same crooked smile when he wasn't completely miserable, even the same way of tilting his head when he was thinking hard about something. I'm going home to visit Patricia and Tony, but they're going to think I'm you. The plan was simple on the surface, but would require careful execution. Ben would check into the hotel and get himself cleaned up while I took his place at the house. We switched clothes in the Waffle House men's room, his worn work shirt and faded jeans for my clean but similar outfit. I studied how he walked, that slight hunch to his shoulders that came from years of electrical work and recent months of trying to make himself invisible. I practiced his way of speaking softer and more hesitant than my normal direct manner. "We'll be careful," he said, as we stood beside his beat-up Honda Civic in the parking lot. "Patricia's not the same woman Charles married. She's gotten hard, calculating. And Tony, there's something mean about him. He likes hurting people. I've dealt with bullies before, Ben. The trick is not to let them know you're not actually scared of them until you're ready to make your move." I drove his car to the house where we'd grown up on Maple Street. The neighborhood looked different than I remembered. Some houses well-maintained with new siding and landscaping, others showing their age with peeling paint and overgrown yards. Our family home fell into the second category, which surprised me since Ben had always been meticulous about maintenance. The white 2-story house with the wraparound porch needed painting badly. The yard was overgrown. The flower beds Mom had loved were choked with weeds. Patricia's silver BMW sat in the driveway next to a new black Dodge Ram that must have belonged to Tony. Both vehicles looked expensive and well-maintained, a stark contrast to the house's declining condition. I walked in through the kitchen door, the same door Ben and I had used coming home from school for 12 years. Patricia was sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone and drinking coffee from a mug that read "World's Best Mom." She didn't even look up when I entered. "There you are," she said without any warmth in her voice. "I was starting to think you'd wandered off somewhere and gotten yourself lost." She glanced at me then, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You look different. Did you do something to your hair?" I kept my eyes down and shrugged, channeling Ben's defeated posture. "Just washed it this morning." She studied me for another moment, then went back to her phone. "Well, don't get comfortable. We have that appointment at 2 p.m. with my attorney. You're finally going to sign those papers we discussed, and I don't want any of your usual foolishness." I sat down at the small card table by the window, clearly the designated spot for the family member who didn't matter anymore. The main dining table had been reset with fancy placemats and a centerpiece, obviously off limits to Ben. "What papers are those again?" I asked. Making my voice uncertain, Patricia's tone sharpened like she was talking to a slow child. "The power of attorney documents, Ben. We've been over this a dozen times. You can't manage your own affairs anymore. Yesterday you put the milk in the cabinet instead of the refrigerator. Last week you forgot what day it was and tried to go to church on Wednesday." I knew Ben hadn't done any of those things. He'd always been sharp as a tack, more organized than me in most ways. She was building a fictional case of incompetence, probably for legal purposes. "I've been tired lately," I said, playing along. "That's exactly why this is necessary. she said, her voice switching to fake concern. Once I have power of attorney, I can take care of everything. The bills, the bank accounts, this old house that's becoming such a burden. Heavy footsteps on the stairs announced someone else was awake. Tony Barnes appeared in the doorway wearing an expensive-looking suit that probably cost more than Ben's monthly pension. He was younger than I'd expected, maybe 38, with the kind of slick confidence that immediately set my teeth on edge. Classic con man energy, all surface charm hiding something rotten underneath. "Morning, old-timer," he said, not bothering to hide his contempt. "Ready for your big day?" Linda appeared next, Patricia's daughter. At 28, she should have been establishing her own life, but instead she was living off Ben's generosity while treating him like hired help. She was dressed for a job interview despite being unemployed for the past 8 months, carrying a designer purse that probably cost more than Ben's monthly grocery budget. "Mom, did you remind him about cleaning the basement?" Linda asked, looking at me with obvious disgust. "The smell down there is getting worse. It's embarrassing when I bring friends over." "After he signs the papers today," Patricia replied, "then we can discuss proper living arrangements for everyone." They talked about me like I wasn't even in the room, like I was just a piece of furniture that occasionally needed maintenance. I kept my head down and my mouth shut, filing away every detail. Tony checked his expensive watch and pulled out his phone. "The contractor's coming by at noon to look at the foundation issues. Once the paperwork's handled, we'll need to move fast on those renovations." My ears perked up. What contractor? What foundation issues? The house had been built solid. I should know, since Dad and I had helped pour that foundation ourselves back in 1978. "Remember," Patricia said, lowering her voice but not nearly enough, "Ben doesn't know about the development plans yet. As far as he's concerned, we're just helping him with some legal paperwork to protect his interests." Development plans? I kept my expression blank while my mind raced. This wasn't just about stealing Ben's house. They were involved in something bigger. Tony's phone buzzed, and he stepped into the living room to take the call. I could hear fragments of his conversation. "Zoning committee meeting next week, and need the Mitchell property locked down before." I spent the rest of the morning playing the confused, defeated Ben while gathering intelligence. When Patricia left to run errands, and Linda was upstairs getting ready for another pointless job interview, I found Tony's laptop open on the dining room table. A quick glance revealed email threads about commercial development, zoning variances, and something called Pinnacle Properties Development Group. One email made my blood run cold. It was from Tony to someone named Marcus at Pinnacle, dated just 3 days ago. "Property acquisition on track. Elderly owner will transfer deed this week via power of attorney. Recommend expedited closing to avoid complications with family members." Ben's house wasn't just being stolen, it was being acquired for a commercial development. And from what I could piece together from the emails, this wasn't some small strip mall. They were planning something big enough to require multiple property acquisitions and zoning changes. The attorney meeting was at 2 p.m. at a law office downtown. Patricia drove while Tony sat in the passenger seat, both of them talking like I couldn't hear every word. The attorney was a young guy named Henderson, exactly the type you'd expect to specialize in what he probably called elder law, but what I'd call legal theft. "Mr. Mitchell," Henderson said, without making eye contact, "your sister-in-law has explained your situation. These documents will ensure your affairs are properly managed as you age." I looked at the papers spread across his mahogany desk. They weren't just power of attorney documents, they were comprehensive property transfers. Everything Ben owned would immediately belong to Patricia. The house, his pension, his savings account, even his truck. It was financial execution disguised as family planning. "This seems like a lot of paperwork," I said, making my voice uncertain. Maybe I should think about it for a day or two. Patricia's grip tightened on my arm hard enough to leave fingerprints. "Ben, we discussed this. You agreed yesterday. Don't embarrass me in front of Mr. Henderson." "Actually," I said, setting down the pen they'd handed me, "I think I'd like to call my brother Will first. He knows about legal stuff, and he always said I should run important decisions by him." The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. Patricia and Tony exchanged a look that told me everything I needed to know about how they'd been isolating Ben from his support system. "You haven't talked to Will in over a year," Patricia said quickly. "Remember, you two had that big fight about Charles's funeral arrangements. He doesn't want anything to do with us anymore." That was news to me, considering I'd never had any fight with Ben about Charles's funeral. But it explained why Ben hadn't reached out sooner. They'd convinced him I was angry with him. "I still think I should call him," I insisted. That's when Tony showed his true colors. He grabbed my wrist, his grip tight and painful. "Listen to me, old man. You're going to sign those papers right now, or things are going to get very unpleasant for you when we get home." I looked down at his hand on my wrist, then slowly raised my eyes to meet his. For just a moment, I let him see exactly who he was really dealing with. I'd stare down union bosses, city inspectors, and contractors who thought they could intimidate me. Tony Barnes was small time compared to some of the people I'd faced down over 40 years in construction. "Take your hand off me," I said quietly. Something in my tone made him hesitate. His grip loosened slightly as confusion flickered across his face. He was expecting the beaten-down Ben who flinched at loud voices, not someone who met his threat with calm indifference. "I want to go home," I said, my voice still soft but carrying an edge Tony couldn't quite identify. "We can finish this tomorrow." The ride back was tense. Patricia kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror, and Tony was making hushed phone calls about rescheduling contractors and pushing back deadlines. They dropped me off at the house and immediately went into Patricia's bedroom for what sounded like a very heated argument. That night, while they thought I was sleeping in the basement, I sat in the kitchen with Ben's old laptop using the Wi-Fi password I'd watched Linda type earlier. What I found in their email accounts and Tony's browser history made me understand just how deep this conspiracy went. Tony Barnes wasn't just some small-time real estate scammer. He was the advance man for a major development group that had been quietly buying up properties in our old neighborhood for the past 18 months. The plan was to demolish everything and build a massive shopping complex with anchor stores and a movie theater. Ben's house, our childhood home, was the keystone property. Without it, the entire development would collapse because it controlled the main access road that the city required for emergency vehicle access. The emails spelled out everything. Tony had been systematically targeting Patricia for months, convincing her to move in with Ben, then isolating him while gaining financial control. The property was worth $2.8 million to the developers, but Tony's plan was to buy it from Patricia for $200,000 after she gained power of attorney. She thought she was getting a good deal on a worthless house. She had no idea Tony was planning to flip it for 14 times that amount. But the worst discovery was buried in Tony's deleted files, which I recovered using some basic computer skills I'd picked up managing digital project files. There was a life insurance policy on Ben taken out 6 months ago, minus $400,000 with Tony Barnes listed as the beneficiary. The monthly premiums were being automatically deducted from Ben's checking account. They weren't just planning to steal his house, they were planning to kill him. I photographed everything, uploaded the files to cloud storage, and emailed copies to my attorney back in Atlanta. Then I called Ben at the hotel. "How are you holding up, brother?" "Better than I have in months," he said, and I could hear the difference in his voice already. I ordered room service for dinner. Actual food, Will. I'd forgotten what it felt like to eat without someone timing me or making me feel guilty for every bite. "Good. Now listen carefully. Tomorrow morning, you're going to shower, put on that new suit we bought you, and drive back to the house, but don't go inside. Park down the street and wait for my signal." "What are you planning, Justice?" I said, "and a family reunion these people will never forget." The next morning, I played the role of confused Ben one last time. Patricia was already making phone calls, trying to reschedule the attorney meeting for that afternoon. Tony was pacing the living room, clearly agitated about something. "The development team needs an answer by this afternoon," he was telling Patricia. "If we don't lock this down today, the whole project could fall through. Other investors are getting nervous. Then we make Ben sign today," Patricia replied. "Whatever it takes." I stood up from the kitchen table where I'd been eating the small bowl of cereal they'd allocated for my breakfast. "Patricia, I've been thinking about those papers." She turned around, hope lighting up her face. "Yes, Ben, I'm not signing them." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Patricia's face went through several emotions: confusion, anger, then something approaching panic. "What did you say?" "You heard me correctly. I'm not giving you power of attorney. I'm not signing over my house. And I'm definitely not letting you collect on that life insurance policy you took out on me." Tony dropped his coffee mug. It shattered on the hardwood floor that my father had installed by hand 35 years ago. "How do you know about that?" I smiled, and it wasn't Ben's gentle smile. "I know a lot of things, Tony. I know about Pinnacle Properties. I know about the shopping center development. I know you've been stealing $3,000 a month from my pension and savings accounts. That's $54,000 over the past 18 months, by the way." Patricia backed toward the front door, her face pale. "Ben, you're confused. You're having another episode." "No, Patricia, Ben's not confused, but Ben's not here." I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, pressing play on a video file I'd prepared. Tony's voice filled the room through the speaker. "The old bastard won't be a problem much longer. Once we collect that insurance money and sell the property, we can disappear to Costa Rica and live like kings." The recording continued with Patricia's voice. "Are you sure the policy will pay out if he has an accident? I don't want any problems with the insurance company." Tony's response was chilling. "Trust me, honey. Old guys like him have accidents all the time. Falls down the basement stairs, gas leaks, kitchen fires. Shit happens. Patricia started crying, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of someone who'd been caught. You can't prove anything, Tony said, but his voice was shaking. Those recordings could be fake, doctored. Actually, I can prove everything. I pulled out the thick folder I'd prepared. Bank records showing systematic theft from Ben's accounts. Emails detailing your conspiracy with Pinnacle Properties. And my personal favorite, the insurance application you filled out forging Ben's signature. That's when the front door opened and Ben walked in. He was wearing the navy blue suit we'd bought him the day before, his hair neatly trimmed, looking like the successful man he deserved to be. Patricia's jaw actually dropped as she looked from me to him and back again. "Hello, Patricia," Ben said calmly, surprised to see me. Tony looked like he was seeing ghosts. What the hell is going on? I stood up straighter, dropping the hunched posture I'd been maintaining. Tony Barnes, meet Will Mitchell, Ben's twin brother, and the man who's been documenting your crimes for the past 2 days. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer by the second. I'd called the sheriff's department before this little family reunion began. You called the cops? Tony screamed, his composed facade finally cracking completely. I called a lot of people, I said. The sheriff, the district attorney, Adult Protective Services, and the Georgia Real Estate Commission. Elder abuse is a felony here, Tony. So is insurance fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit murder. The deputies came through the front door just as Tony tried to run for the back exit. They tackled him in the kitchen while Patricia collapsed on the living room couch, sobbing about how she was just trying to survive financially. The legal process took 4 months, but it was worth the wait. Tony got 15 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to elder abuse, fraud, and conspiracy charges. Patricia received 3 years and was ordered to pay full restitution of the $54,000 she'd helped steal. Linda lost her car when the court froze the family assets and had to move back in with a friend while looking for actual employment. Ben sold the property to Pinnacle Properties for the full $298 million, but only after they agreed to preserve the original house and incorporate it into their development as a community center. He bought himself a luxury motorhome and hit the road, sending me postcards from Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, and places he'd only dreamed of seeing. His latest message came from somewhere in Montana. "The view is better from here, brother. Thanks for reminding me what family really means." As for me, I went back to my comfortable retirement, but with a deeper appreciation for what I had. Sometimes family isn't just about blood, it's about showing up when someone needs you most. And if anyone ever tries to hurt my brother again, they'll discover what I learned in 40 years of construction. When you build something right, it lasts. And when you tear something down, you'd better be prepared for the consequences. Justice isn't always swift, but when it comes, it hits like a wrecking ball. The predators of this world count on good people staying silent and isolated, but they never expect those good people to have a brother who knows how to fight back with both intelligence and determination. Sometimes the greatest act of love isn't protecting someone from their problems. It's teaching them they're strong enough to reclaim their own power and worth.